At ease, brother. Shalom. Man, in today's video, I want to talk to all my fathers out there. Man, if you're raising sons and daughters, man, I need you to hear this message and hear this message loudly. Man, every father out there must be comfortable with being the bad guy for an extended point in time. Because what you don't understand is, right now as it stands, man, there's something called black fatigue. These events called teen takeovers are taking over communities. Our young men want to identify as YNs and the foolishness that goes along with it. Man, this message might be the only chance that stands between your daughter, your son winding up in a box, being led into the prison industrial complex, or living a prosperous life as a young adult. Let's talk about it.
Why are they getting all piped?
The Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us. Even now, in this very room. You can see it when you look out your window or when you turn on your television. You can feel it when you go to work, when you go to church, when you pay your taxes. It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth. What truth? That you are a slave like everyone else. You were born into bondage. Unfortunately, no one can be told what the Matrix is. You have to see it for yourself. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
All praise to the Most High Yah Shalom. Thank you for tuning in to another righteous Ruach Spirit-filled episode. Today I'm back at it in them trenches, handling that kingdom business. You know, man, I was recently watching a video, man, where you had a group of white guys on a podcast acknowledging the fact that these teen takeovers in certain cities, you know, how much foolishness, how much chaos, how much damage to property and things like this, they were causal. The violation of the laws by them shutting down a street to do whatever they want. Man, when you think about these teens, man, every teen out there has a mother or a father. Man, something that I'm always talking to my wife about is, as a father, man, I had to get comfortable and I'm okay with being the bad guy for an extended amount of time. Because, man, what our young men and women, our sons and daughters don't understand, that the fathers play a key role in discipline and structure, okay? That discipline and structure is a form of protection. Oftentimes as fathers, man, we get seen as you running in front of a car, you diving in front of a bullet. We get seen as that form of protection. But there's a form of protection that comes from your son or daughter being obedient to the guidance you give based upon discipline and structure. Man, I want to see all of my 4 children make it up out of the house, you know, prosper in their endeavors, get married and have beautiful families. Man, I don't want to have to put, you know, man, I don't want my sons and daughters to end up like a lot of mamas are having to deal with their sons and daughters, putting them on t-shirts, starting GoFundMes, you know, daughters raising children, raising babies, and they're still teens themselves because she chose a deadbeat, or your son not being able to reach the fullest of his potential because he laid down in between some open legs that seemed easy and is now dealing with those consequences. You know, man, I give a lot of, when it comes to guidance, structure, wisdom in my house, man, I'm that source of wisdom. And oftentimes, one thing I noticed is this is the reason why this burden is on fathers. Every young boy or young girl out there, teen daughter, teen son, has a mother and a father. They weren't created on their own. We look at today's society, and a lot of young men and young women are raised by a woman. See, man, my wife, she has a hard time saying no when it comes to parenting. And oftentimes she's asking me, man, why did this situation with my stepson, why did it play out a certain way that it played out? And I said, man, as a mama, you don't want to be seen as the bad guy, but fathers have to embrace that. You got to think statistically, children that have their father in their life are going to do statistically better than children that are raised in a single mother household. You got to understand there's just some things as fathers, good fathers aren't going for. You going to hang out with your friends at undisclosed locations, not knowing where, you riding in cars with all of these random people, man, good fathers ain't going for that. You know, man, as a father, man, I've got a 14-year-old, two 12 years old, and an 18-month-old. Man, they want to go to the movies and things like that. Man, that's perfectly fine. But guess what? I'm catching a movie and I'm sitting up in the background so I can make sure, man, my daughters and my sons is not doing oral sex activity in these movies, or, you know, they walk into the movie, wait on some friend to pick them up, and then they go somewhere else and to get, no. I got oversight. And here's the reality. I have to stress to them, the goal is to go to the movies with your friends. See, if that was your intention, you wouldn't be worried about me up in the stands. You have to have oversight. You have to be that bad guy as a father. Man, let your children at the age of 12, 13, 14 in that teenage years, give them the freedom to do as they want and watch it come back and bite you in the rear end as a man. Watch it come back. And you look in Chicago, all of these young boys was telling the president, man, I wish y'all would send the National Guard down here. What? Man, my son wouldn't have had no phone. Man, my stepsons wouldn't have had no phone. They wouldn't have been on no TikTok. All them accounts would have been deleted. See, you got to understand, man, when men haven't come out from among them and you're caught up in the rat race of trying to be what you want to be as a father, trying to be a millionaire, trying to retire, all of this stuff, what are you doing to keep your sons and daughters gainfully employed? What kind of routine do they have? What kind of routine are you promoting? You got to think, man, all them young men in Chicago ripping and running the streets, causing havoc. And every city has a group of young men where fathers are causing, where these teens are causing a lot of damage. Teen takeovers. Your son or daughter gets their driver's license. They coordinate with a bunch of friends and say, hey, we're going to shut down the street and we're going to parking lot pimp. We're going to blast music and we're going to take over. We might damage a little property. Wait a minute, where are the parents at? The reality is a lot of these young women and young men, man, their mama, their parents have allowed them to go do this. Mama didn't want to be the bad guy. The burden is on you, fathers. Because here's the thing. You let your daughters run the street. She's going to fall on a man's digging stick. And you better hope it ain't no creep's digging stick. You know, you better hope it's not with an older man that's just running game on her and is putting a baby in her and he's gone with his life. And here's the thing, man, when you have to tell your sons and daughters no, man, that is the one of the greatest forms of love, because you're telling them no for their protection, in which they don't have the experience or the wisdom to know what they're getting themselves into. Man, a lot of these young single moms out here that was running off and sneaking off outside of their parents' covering and guidance, bro, if somebody would have been more strict and more disciplined with them and holding them accountable, holding their feet to the fire, you don't think you got these women out here with two children, two deadbeat baby daddies, you don't think they would have weathered a stricter, you know, if they look back on life and say, man, I wish I would have had a father figure in my life to tell me that I shouldn't do this. You know, to actually spend time with me so I'm not out here looking for love in the wrong places. Men out here incarcerated. You got to understand, it is a full-time job being a bad guy. Man, as a black father, man, my sons want to listen to the Pooh Shiesties, want to listen to the NBA young boys. And I'm telling you, you hanging around people like that, you're listening to stuff like that, son, you ain't going to fall too far from that stuff. You're programming yourself to be low function. So, man, that was part of the decision to move on a farm, move on a homestead, teach them agricultural ways to be able to keep them gainfully employed, starting a business so we can control the dynamic of where they working and the kind of influences they have. You got to understand, man, a lot of these young men and women are getting themselves into a heap of mess well before they leave home. I tell my stepsons all the time, y'all go out here and get a girl pregnant. Don't call mama. Don't call me. Figure it the F out. Figure it the F out, because that's the reality of how I was raised. And that is why I have succeeded in the ways that I didn't make 20 years in the military and do very well for myself in my career and outside of the military by being raised to be indisciplined, being raised to not be accountable and pass my problems off on somebody else. No, I tell my sons and my daughters, don't think that you're going to go get some girl pregnant or you're going to go get pregnant by some guy and you're going to pawn this baby off on me and your mama. No, you're going to figure it out. That going to hang out with your friends, that crap's going out the windows. Men, you have to have these hard conversations and know that if your wife doesn't understand because she's never been on this side of the court, you need to tell her to put the shut to the up and let you handle the conversation. Let you drive the conversation, because these conversations need to be firm. They need to be raw. They need to be real. They need to be abrasive. So your children, your sons and daughters understand there's consequences to their actions. Right now, at that young age, teens see everything as fun, man. You don't want me to have any fun and you don't want me to hang out with your friends. No, son or daughter, I'm trying to keep you away from bad company. Bad company corrupts morals. But they don't understand this. All they see is, man, everybody else is having fun. Nobody else parents is as strict. Like, you got some parents, they believe that, okay, man, if I'm super strict on my child, man, they're gonna go up and rebel. That's their choice. But your strictness was in line with the will of the Most High Yah. Teach your child the way that they should go. You don't sit back and support the way that your child wanna go. Where in the book is that? Where in the book is that at? But this is the kind of stuff that fathers have to start addressing if you want to see a change in dynamic. Man, you have to, I don't give a dang if your son or daughter doesn't live with you as a father. Man, you can get on the phone and have these hard conversations. Repetitive conversations where you know when you've had enough conversations, when your sons or daughter repeat the conversation ahead of you, man, you hit the nail on the head. And if they go out and do what you've told them not to do, let them eat and own the consequences. Let them eat and own the consequences. Mama wants to nurture them. Mama wants to come and bail. Like, this joker didn't terrorize the city. He didn't broke in apartments and vandalize your son or daughter. She been out running with gangs, having gangbangs, then got arrested. Mama will go bail her out. Father's gonna say, no, you sit up in there and eat them peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and think about what you done. I told you this would happen. If you didn't follow my instructions, okay, in righteousness, according to the Bible, if we don't follow the Father's instructions, his laws, his precepts, his statutes, there are consequences. This is why people rebel against the Most High, because they think the Most High and the ambassadors of righteousness are the bad guys. Fathers, embrace being the bad guy so you can see the fruit that's harvested from it, later in life when your sons and daughters are successful in marriage, successful in their endeavors, successful at righteousness, have beautiful families. But if you leave them to their own will, man, they're going to let themselves down. They're going to let you down. And this message is so you can get ahead of it. Once again, this is the Set Apart Man, kicking that thing gun barrel straight. Until next time, stay set apart, stay disciplined, stay in the word of the Most High Yahweh.